All right, you've been selected to be a Block 2 teacher for the Gospel Project program for our kids. So what that means is that you'll be serving from about the time about 10:50 in the morning to roughly 12:15, 12:20 in the afternoon. So your job is to when you first arrive, you'll be showing up, and the kids will be having snacks and beginning worship. So your job is just to kind of touch base with the Block 1 teacher, make sure they know that you're there. You're sort of relieving them of their duty. It's a changing of the guards kind of thing. They will hand off to you a class box. Each of the small group classes has their own box. And inside of that box, you'll find a folder for each student with some of their journal entries. You'll find big picture cards that you'll be giving away to the kids. You'll find attendance sheets, as well as the unit's memory verse, the day's big picture question, the day's picture to help the kids sort of have something visual to see for that lesson. You'll find a lot of good stuff in there, so make sure you take a look through it and get used to what's in there. As you arrive, your job will be to simply sit with the students and participate in what's going on. So sit with them and participate in the worship. Sit with them and listen to the teacher who comes up to share a message with the large group. Your presence and your example goes a long way to helping the students to focus and pay attention as well. So don't be one of those people who just kind of stands in the back and talks to the other teachers. That's a distraction. Instead, sit with the students and show them what they should be doing by example. You're also there to help with any students who maybe have a tantrum or need to go to the bathroom or end up with a bleeding finger because they smashed it on a chair or something. You're there to take care of those things during that time. There will usually be a wild card activity, whether it's a game or a craft. You're there to help and to just be willing to do whatever needs to be done to help that time. And then after the lesson, the children will split back up into their small groups. Now this is where this time really becomes yours. You are their teacher. You will take them to their classroom, whichever spot that is in the building, and from that point on, it is your goal to not to teach the Bible story, because at this point they have had their first small group time where they learned the Bible study. They have had their large group time where they have had the Bible story taught to them again, as well as explained in terms of what should I learn from this today. Now your time, as you take them into this third portion, this small group time at the end, your goal is not to teach the story, but to teach them what can change in their life as a result of learning this lesson. You know what God is trying to teach you. Now, what would it look like to change your life this week based on what you've learned? What would be different at school? What would be different at home? How would you treat your brother or sister differently? How would you pray differently? Those are the sort of questions that we're really trying to get the kids to answer in this portion of the time. So, your curriculum will have suggestions of some activities that you can do. There's usually a low prep one option and a harder prep option. I really recommend that you, as often as you can, do the big prep one. The low prep is really just for the times where you've had a crazy week, you were barely able to get time to prepare. Okay, do the low prep one. But by and large, shoot for that busier, grander one, because it's more fun, it's more engaging. So you'll have an activity to do with the students, and then we have discussion questions for you. And all of these things that I'm mentioning, the curriculum and the discussion questions, you'll be receiving via email. We use Google Drive to share files, so it's helpful if you have a Gmail account, but you don't need one. You should be just receiving it in your email, and you'll have online access to the materials you'll need. The discussion questions you will find have a list of questions with triangles, circles, and squares by them. The triangles indicate that these questions are appropriate for pre-K group. Circles indicate they're appropriate for 1st through 3rd graders. Squares indicate they're appropriate for 4th through 6th graders. Now, there will be so many questions that you may find it's hard to get through all of them. As the teacher, it is your privilege, your job and you have the freedom to simply remove some that you feel you don't have time for, and to add others that you feel would be good questions. However, this is a good base for you to pick and choose the questions that you want to ask that Sunday. I want to encourage you not to always ditch the gospel-oriented questions because you feel like the kids know it. The gospel is the most important thing that we could be talking about and reinforcing with our students. So don't ditch those questions. Really make sure you ask at least one gospel-based question a day to your students. The discussion questions will also have little bubbles on the right that give you ideas of how to spice up the question, how to turn it into a funner game, and how to develop it a little more. Now, after that time, you want to hand out the big picture cards to your students. Those are things for them to take home, to collect, to help remember the story and the lesson. You'll also want to give them their homework assignment. You should have a family journal page for them to hand out, or not hand out, I'm sorry, for them to hand to their parents and for their family to do throughout the week, as well as you will have a journal page where it's now time at the very end for you to hand that out to the students and have them write down and enter into this journal what they learned today. And they may also, instead of writing, they may want to draw what they learned today. Especially for the younger kids, the pre-K group, you may need to help them to write something or to draw something. But that's a time for them to sort of interact a little and think a little about what they've learned and what they want to remember. And then at the end, close in prayer. See if there's any urgent prayer requests or anything like that, and pray for the students. Um, so that's what Block 2 is all about. I hope that's answered a lot of your questions, and I hope you have a blast teaching the kids.